l'ensemble des autorités qatariennes pour les marques d'attention qui m'ont été réservées à ma délégation. Mon engagement au Sénégal est en réalité le choix du peuple sénégalais qui s'est battu.
There was this option for the people of Senegal
avec 54,8% a été respecté. Ce qu'il faut saluer, c'est cette maturité du peuple qui aussi transparaît à travers ses dirigeants.
We would like
le peuple sénégalais qui a voté dans le calme et la sérénité.
the Senegali people
De comprendre
No sound. No sound. Which and we gave an example to all the youth in we can reach power and achieve.
Quand on parle de jeunesse, vous n'avez que 44 ans, donc vous avez aussi
and you have easy. Have an Senegal the system and we are changing our of changing our economic system is that we are targeting economic sectors, agriculture, the technical training, value of products, our the future of new jobs.
Natural resources. The country is on track, we hear, to start supplying oil and gas very soon. How will this benefit the people of Senegal? How do you ensure that these natural resources won't be once again exploited by Western powers?
First of all, the commitment is to work in a way these resources are dealt with or in a responsible and continuous manner. And we have to share the the outcome of these resources, and this needs transparency in the and governance in the way we're dealing with these resources. And as soon as we start exploiting those resources, petrol and gas, when I came to power, the civil society and unions and all the actors who have a better position in this process The idea is to say that the resources they belong to the people, and the people should have and should be informed and an idea about the benefit of Senegal from these resources, and it's used in various economic sectors, in particular health, education, also. Distributed without forgetting the rural areas behind. In a homogeneous way.
Towards some of the world's Western nations that have traditionally had such a key resources.
For us, the question is to use those resources to develop other sectors, in particular agriculture, food sovereignty, and also to serve the digital fields which are interesting for the youth, and also take into consideration the importance of the youth. So we digital hubs, African digital hubs, in order. So Africa has to be transparent and equitable distribution of the resources in order to transform other sectors which are not connected to these resources. And this is a main occupation for us.
I think aims at collaboration between your country and the rest of the world. Let me talk to you about some of the crises that we see around the world, not just in the Sahel region, but as we've been speaking about throughout this forum, from Ukraine to Gaza to Syria, Sudan, Yemen, and elsewhere. What is your perspective on cooperation among nations during these turbulent times?
Sur le plan
in Africa and in the Sahel region, we have to take into consideration that there are terrorism and violent extremism, insecurity. Senegal has played an important role in favor of peace, and this is historical. We have the same position and attitude in favoring the youth and allowing the conflicts are solved by peaceful means, especially between the African countries. And it is very important for us that Senegal thinks that we have to bring bridges between people and states. And this is the objective of the mediation that we are playing between the Sahel states or countries. We encourage concerned parties to play an important role, and we don't have to give up against voice, and to consult each other in order to find solutions which could treat with this poverty.
ECOWAS, the Economic Community of African States, which is a regional grouping of some 15 member states from West Africa, a regional grouping focusing on economic and political issues and security. During its summit last April in Nigeria, countries, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, who have threatened to formally leave ECOWAS by the beginning of this year, in January. There were recent military takeovers in each one of these three countries. How much progress have you made in your mediation to try to persuade them to remain within ECOWAS, and what happens if they do leave?
These countries are sovereign countries. As I said, for peace and security in the world come make the difference by a dialogue us from keeping the alliance of the Sahel, because it's here and it helps us meet the security issues faced by these countries. But the integration of the CDO has played a role in the facilitation of the circulation of people and goods. I was a mediator by the president of the CDAO, and I was also a special envoy, and he has done a remarkable job. The communication stayed also between me and my colleagues in other countries that know that Senegal is here to support them, and will always stand next to them, because we share the same.
Get into some kind of union amongst themselves once they leave ECOWAS. Is that a challenge, do you believe? I mean, you did say that, you know, these are sovereign decisions, which they are. But how important is it for ECOWAS to keep them within the group in order to have a more common approach to dealing with the region's problems?
These are countries that we share with many things. We share borders with other CDAO members, and when those countries have security issues, we will also face security issues, since we share the same borders, and terrorism can arise anywhere. The advancements that we had in the CDAO through the different mechanisms should not be obscured by the issues of governance that necessitates a reform. And this is how we should work. It's through the CDAO that we will be able to rise to those challenges, and the CDAO is called to face those challenges. As I said, the Sahel Alliance faces problems, and this doesn't stop us from keeping them in the CDAO, since they will improve and within a frame that is much more inclusive.
On a security level, because many people in the region have said that they fear the spread of jihadist insurgencies. How much of a concern is this for you?
Yes, for sure. The radicalization can happen anywhere, and terrorism as well, and beyond the aspect of terrorism being an asymmetrical phenomena within conflicts, and that anyone with enough equipment can spread chaos in the world, it is important for us to make sure that the borders are not closed. We are still countries where the free exchange of goods is allowed. of course, there are waves of immigration because populations flee conflicts, and thus all other countries that give security warranties are invaded by fluxes of security issues countries, and can touch upon many other countries beyond the Sahel alliance, and the consequences of these conflicts are also felt in other countries.
A generational shift among some of the leadership in Africa, not just in Senegal, but in some of these neighboring countries, younger leaders coming to power. Can this lead to new dynamics, a new approach, a new way of doing things? And how relevant is the African Union today in dealing with some of these crises?
Yes, renewing itself. When we look at the countries like Senegal compared to 1 decade ago, there is a huge shift. This is inspirational because we also respect as we said, we are the result of all the efforts and that face the success and defeat. But we don't have the same way of thinking. The youth in Africa are very are preoccupied by the sovereignty. They are asserting their sovereignty, and this is something that the others don't understand, so they reform the system. But it's also they have to impose this agenda in order to have more sovereignty and to impose this reciprocity with partners and to work with. They have also to respect. There is no
Do you believe that it's a earlier today mentioned the need for Africa's problems to be resolved by Africans themselves? Is Africa able to resolve its own problems?
There are many things which have been done on this matter or in other issues like peace, integration, and other issues, and we have to respect them and praise them. It is a different context, and it is what they have done which prepared us to ask for more. And these institutions, we have to preserve them. Of course, other institutions, multilateral institutions, there is a need to be reformed. And it's by reforming them that we will have new blood, and they will be well prepared to deal with the issues. And we have the to assume our responsibility.
I want to widen the discussion, if I may, to the global influence. It's the EU, China, the three military leaders of the countries that we mentioned earlier. Countries, Niger's head of state called for the establishment of a community, quote, far removed from the stranglehold of foreign powers. Do you share these views about the role and influence of Western powers on the region? Who do you think are
of respect, reciprocal respect, a beneficial partnership?
I mean, China has been playing a very influential economic role within Africa, and the United States seems largely to have been ignoring the African continent. Maybe a positive thing for many, maybe not. We saw recently President Biden, in his waning days in office, finally make a trip to Africa by visiting Angola. I wonder to what extent, looking at the next US administration and the current Chinese leadership, to what extent does Senegal look towards these two nations as partners for the future?
First of all, we have to take into consideration the reality of partnership, and it is the figures who say that China is the first partner, economic partner of Senegal, and as I said, they are an important partner, and the United States also, we have to recognize that it doesn't ignore Africa. We have a compact program with the United Nations which led to important investments in Senegal and accompanying many projects on many years. And as I said, these two powers who play an important role in many countries, and as long as they can find their interest in Senegal under the condition that we work on different levels, security, and also to have political stability which favor any projects. So nobody will come and guard the interests of our country. So we have to be firm for these interests and to negotiate in the meaning which is wanted and seen by the Senegal. Of course, as I said, China, we have continued our partnership, and this doesn't affect the other partnerships. If they are now the first partner because they believed into the economic opportunities of Senegal, and therefore the exchange developed other countries, including Qatar, and if they have made their investments and found opportunities in Senegal, they can also become a very important partner and become first. And it depends on the strategies they identify and what investment they could put. But this position is not reserved for one own country. Senegal remains a country open to all partnerships, which is beneficial, and they respect our sovereignty.
Rare insights from the newly elected president of Senegal. Thank you so much for being so candid and generous with your time. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum mbokki internautes yi ñoo ngi leen di nuyu di leen ziar bu baax baax et j'espère que yéen ci jàmm ñun ñoo ngi cool di leen wax continuer leen di ñu may force di abonner di aimer te di partager, c'est très important. Tey nag gars yi xam nga ci lu ñu ñëw ci Barthélémy Diaz démb raje nañ ko li nga xamante ne mooy fële ci assemblée nationale mu ñàkk mandat de député. Donc moom nag nga xamante ne daf doon tëgg Ousmane Sonko ne kenn ci ñoom ñaar kenn dina ci suul moroomam politiquement parlant, et aujourd'hui dañuy ñëw ci loolu var Barthélémy Diaz ñu déglu ko te ñëwaat.
Je suis la seule personne qui t'empêche de dormir te yàggatul. Maintenant la man ak yow yaa fi woote woon mortal combat, l'un d'entre nous va enterrer l'autre politiquement parlant. maa la ko wax fi tey moom da doon woote gatsa c'est enterré physiquement, man ñaanuma yàlla ëllëg di ko enterré physiquement, wante politiquement moo may suul ba ma suul ko te wallaay du ma suul. Il a gagné une bataille, il peut en gagner une deuxième. Il gagne.
Le bureau de l'Assemblée nationale réuni le jeudi 5 décembre 2024 a procédé à la radiation de Barthélémy Diaz.
ay waay ndaanaan bi dàq nañ ko kon
su ngeen ma falee di ngeen fal ndaanaan bu am yéene ci Dakar di ngeen fal ndaanaan bu am cofeel ci Dakar ku ànd ak Barthélémy Dias ak ku àndul ak Barthélémy Dias di ngeen ma nangul ni ndaanaan la
affaire bi jeex na wax amatul Barthélémy Dias Sonko suul na ko politiquement donc loolu la waxoon kon bataille bi mu doon wax ne Sonko daf ko gagné Sonko dafa gagné bataille ba pare gagné guerre bi aujourd'hui loolu mën nañ ko comprendre parce que lu tax mooy que sénégalais yi dañoo sonn ci politique bi nga xam